Looking back at more than a century of Major League Baseball history, it's not tough to find a lot of father-son combinations who have done great things on the field. But how about off the field? Those success stories are much harder to find, but let me suggest we may have the most remarkable father-son duo ever here with us tonight. Paul Beeston won 2 World Series rings with the Toronto Blue Jays as their president, and his son Dave Beeston has also won 2 World Championships, his with the Boston Red Sox as their executive vice president and chief strategy officer. And father and son join us now for more. Can I just say how cool this is to have you 2 guys in those 2 chairs? Thanks a lot for doing this.
Thanks for having us.
Steve, looking forward to it.
And this is, I think, your 5th time here at TVO over the years.
It's been, you know what, I had to get David to get me back here because, now that I'm out of it, it was good when I was in the game, but, now that I'm out of it, David's got me back with you.
Well, let's just figure out how this love affair with baseball started. You grew up in Welland, Ontario. So were you a baseball fan growing up?
Yeah, my father was a baseball fan, and we had a place in Forest, Ontario, a cottage, and we'd go in the summer every year over to Detroit. And that's where I became a huge Tiger fan. And
Tigers were your team?
Tigers were our
Who
team.
was your guy?
Well, really, Al Kaline.
Al Kaline, okay.
Al Kaline was the man. I mean, he represented everything. And, so at that point in time, we sat behind every pole in Old Tiger Stadium. I'm sorry my father died long before he knew you could sit in front of a pole. I mean, we got behind the poles. But they were the team, and we followed them, and you follow them on radio. That was Ernie Harwell, and all the way through, and it was just a terrific, terrific life.
Now, when you went over to the Blue Jays and became their first ever employee in 1977, the guy sitting beside you was not born yet. So I know you weren't there from day one, but do I assume he dragged you to the ballpark and that's how you got into it?
I don't know if he dragged or if I just tagged along. I couldn't be stopped. I was lucky I didn't have to sit behind too many poles growing up, so a little bit better than that. But really, I remember the Sky Dome, but before that, spring training, which was sort of the best time of the year for me, would go for 2 or 3 weeks, and I would just tag along, go from field to field, and probably was more of a nuisance than anything, but felt like I was helping, trying to, really run basketball scores out to the different coaches, and at the end of the day, fetch cold beverages for the coaches as they talked about at the end of the days.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
My favorite player growing up was Ernie Witt.
The catcher?
The catcher.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why. I just fell in love with him. He had a big, wide stance, and he took big swings, and I just fell in love with him when I was young.
Ernie Witt is the answer to a great trivia question, which is he is one of a relatively small handful of people who hit a home run in their very first Major League at-bat. And do you know who he hit it for, Dave?
I don't.
The Boston Red Sox. There you go.
Yes, he
Just
did.
thought you'd like to know that.
I do like to know that.
At what point did you think, I'm not just going to be the pest at my father's ankles, but I think I'd like to make a living doing this?
Yeah, I think pretty early on, I knew I wasn't going to play. I got my parents' athletic abilities as well as their intellectual abilities. So I knew pretty quickly that I wasn't going to make it as a player in either baseball or hockey were the 2 sports that I loved, and so pretty quickly I turned to see if there was a path forward for me in the front office, and right after college I actually went to Hockey Canada and worked for Hockey Canada in Calgary for a couple of years. From there, went back and became a lawyer for a few years, and always with the idea that I was going to get back into a front office or baseball or hockey. And I got really lucky to go to the Red Sox because it's an unbelievable organization.
How did that happen?
Again, luck and my dad have a lot to do with it. I met Sam Kennedy, Larry Lucchino, John Henry, Tom Warner at a game one day, and again, like I said,
This is the ownership.
The ownership group, and I know that I'm lucky because not everybody gets to do that. But I was able to meet them and struck up a really, really good close friendship with Sam Kennedy. We kept in touch for a year or 2. He knew I was sort of looking, but there wasn't anything available. And about 2 years after we just kept in touch, he called me one day and said, I think I might have something for you. And I jumped.
Cool. There are, as we suggested in the intro, lots of father-son combinations who have done great things on the field. You can think of Bobby and Barry Bonds. You can think of Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr., Cal Ripken Sr. and Jr., maybe Vladimir Guerrero Sr. and Jr. Right. I don't know that there has ever been as successful a father-son combination off the field. You are wearing some of the trappings of your success.
Proudly.
You've got a couple of World Series rings. You've got a couple of World Series rings. Is this the most successful, Paul, father-son combo in baseball history?
I don't know about that. I mean, the McPhails were very successful, and the DeWitts were very successful. And so Bill was the president and the owner of the St. Louis right now, and his father had been one of the legendary general managers in baseball. And I don't think it's fair to say that the actual McPhail family has gone from Larry McPhail to Lee McPhail Jr. So
3 generations.
It's the 3 generations.
How many rings have they got, though?
Well, that's a question I have to add up, but I know for a fact that Andy's got 2. So I mean, there's then
With the
they have to
Twins.
have the rest with the Twins.
He got 2 with the Twins. Now, mind
Exactly
you,
right.
you remember Buzzy Bavasi.
Buzzy is another one. and
Buzzy's
Peter
got
Bavasi,
4, and Peter worked with you.
Yes, he did, but he wasn't
Peter
there when
got
we
0.
Peter didn't get a ring when we were there. I mean, but yes, the Bavasi. There's been other ones, but I mean, it's not fair for David to say that that quite frankly that I helped him. I mean, I introduced him to somebody, but it's like a player in the lineup. The player makes the lineup by himself. The manager doesn't make out the lineup. The player makes out the lineup. David did it himself. I mean, I have to give him credit for this one, and getting there and getting to Boston. It's it's a hub of education. But I mean, working for an organization that is the Boston Red Sox, which owns Liverpool, which owns all their real estate, which owns a television network and everything. Very good education.
What is your job exactly?
It's a great question. It really falls into 3 different categories. So the most fun thing is the baseball side. I'm responsible for liaising with the baseball operations and the business operations, making sure that the 2 sides of the business are always communicating. Everyone's sort of working together towards the common goal, which is, of course, winning World Series. So that's one part of it. But as my role's expanded, as FSG, Fenway Sports Group, has expanded, I've taken on more with we have real estate opportunity, real estate development. We have a television network, so figuring out what we're going to do with the regional sports business. And also, John and Tom and Sam are entrepreneurial, and they want to do more. They want to grow. They're always looking to do new opportunities. So really a big part of my job is finding out what's next for Fenway Sports Group, whether that's an arena business, a hockey team, a basketball team. We're actually building, just on the back of Fenway Park, we just announced we're building a 5,000-seat theater for concerts that'll be ready to go in 2021. So that's the next big project. So our guys are always looking to do more.
So nobody ever comes to you and says, Dave, should we trade this player for this player? You're not that guy.
No, I offer my opinions even if not welcome. But yeah, no, that's not my day-to-day responsibility, no.
Okay. And like in the way that you would have signed Roger Clemens back in the day, you're not the guy who actually goes down there and tries to get a player's name on a contract.
I am not. I'm trying to help our baseball operations think through all of the ramifications, impact of what a signing or a trade will do, but I'm not the one. Definitely not. That's Dave Dombrowski and the baseball operations staff that are really pulling the trigger on those decisions that got us our 108-win team last year.
Best team ever.
I don't know if it's the best team ever, but it was a good team.
Best Red Sox team ever.
Again, it was a great season.
It's been a good century, actually, Dave.
It's been a very
good century.
Yeah.
Where do you keep your other World Series ring, Mr. Beeston?
In the safety deposit box. That's exactly where it is, and that's exactly where it's going to stay until, at some point in time we'll pass it on. David says he's got 2. We have 4 grandchildren. I only have 2 rings. It's going to be a tough one to figure out what's going to happen to these ones. But in as much as he has the 2 of them, but I keep the other one in the safety deposit box. I wear this one, but I wear this one proudly.
Dave, I notice you are not wearing yours.
No, I'm not. The 13 one that we won was my first year there, and so I felt like I was a little bit along for the ride on that one. I was blessed to be part of the ride. It was an incredible year. This year, this 18 one was really special because I felt like I was more part of it. But my hands can't wear a ring that's that size. It's for the players.
It's the size of a baseball glove, isn't it?
They love it, and it's an awesome ring, and it's really special. And anybody that comes over to my house can see it, but I don't wear it.
So you keep them at home?
I do keep them at home.
That's dangerous, man. You know what happened to one of your dad's rings?
Both of them.
They both got stolen?
Yeah, and I said, these are replicas. There's no question about it. They both got stolen, back in 1997, and they were gone, and all the Blue Jays things were gone. But luckily I got one of them back. To be very honest with you, I have 3 rings.
I have 3.
Well, I have 3 because I got the 1992 back. The police actually recovered it 5 years later.
Ah, okay. So
in
you
a
have the
drug
2
deal.
replicas?
So I have the 2 replicas and the other
the
one.
original.
So technically I have 3.
So you've got 5 rings
Well,
between the 2 of you.
Yeah, but
All right, that's
it's
fascinating.
not fair to take credit for for the 3, Steve.
Okay. Dave, I want to know whether you went to the White House for the celebration not too long ago.
I did.
And how was that?
It was quite an experience. We had a lot of players that wanted to go. As we've said for, in 04, 07, 13, 18, this was our 4th time doing it. Every time it's been completely optional for the players, and we want the experience to be for the players. And the experience we had with President Trump was incredible. It was the normal show. Normal, I guess. I don't know what normal means, but it was what I think is the normal show. You see some of the the East Wing, and then they go and do the ceremony on the Rose Garden, and it was perfectly lovely. And then at the end of the ceremony, President Trump invited the entire traveling party to go upstairs to see the Lincoln bedroom, where he gave us a 20-minute guided tour of the Lincoln bedroom, the treaty room, and some of the private parts of the residence that nobody ever gets to see. And it was really, I mean, I hope not once in a lifetime, because I hope I get invited back, and I hope we win so that I get invited back. But it felt like a once in a lifetime experience. It was incredible.
Was it a thing when the Blue Jays won their World Series to go to the White House?
We went to the White House.
You did go.
We did back to back. We went from there right up to Ottawa.
So you had Bush and Clinton.
Yeah, well, no, we only did it 1 year because the second year was when the strike was happening, all the labor negotiations
right,
were going
okay,
on steep.
okay.
But after the 92 season, we all congregated here in Toronto, flew to the White House, and then flew from Washington up to Ottawa. I met the Prime Minister, met the Governor General, took the tour and did everything, and kind of did them back to back. So it was kind of a special day. I know what David's talking about, but we had President Bush Sr. at that point in time.
Right.
Was our host there, and then went up and saw Prime Minister Mulroney.
I do need to ask you, because obviously your manager didn't go for political reasons, a number of your players didn't go for political reasons. Did you have to think about whether or not, I don't know what your politics are,
No.
but did you have to think about whether or not you wanted to go?
I didn't, because it was work for me. I was actually the person charged with organizing and running the trip, so it was never a thought for me whether I would go or not. And I think that what I can tell you is the players who went absolutely had an amazing time, and the guys who didn't go also were totally fine with it. And there was absolutely no division in the clubhouse about it. It was great. Alex Cora is a special guy, and he made sure that every player felt perfectly comfortable with whatever decision they made. But there was no decision for me, mostly because I didn't have one to make. It was a decision made for me.
Got it.
So it was optional for everybody but me.
Right. Let's ask, I want to ask about some more controversy. Can we get into some controversy here? You signed Roger Clemens to a contract for the Toronto Blue Jays, paid him a lot of money. He had his best ever years, you could argue, in Boston. So both your franchises have a connection to this guy, who the allegation is had such fantastic numbers because he used performance-enhancing drugs. So I want to know, Paul Beeston, does he belong in the Hall of Fame?
I waffle on this one. Sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no, but I think as we're going forward, he's certainly going to have to be considered for the Hall of Fame. I think we've seen that. I think people have changed. Are there players in there right now? I'm not sure, but what I do know is that for his career, before or after, he was a special person. When he came to us, he won 2 Triple Crowns here. I'm not so sure he did that in Boston, but for the 2 years he was here, he did everything that, we expected and wanted him to do, and when he left, he did that too. So the Hall of Fame, it is a debate. There is no question. And you can see as he has escalated in the voting, and as Barry Bonds has escalated in the voting, and as a few other players have escalated in the voting, you've got to believe that at some point in time, he may get in there. His story has to be there. You can't tell the story of baseball in the in the 90s and the aughts, if that's what we call them, without considering what those best players were at that point in time. Does Alex Rodriguez be on the Hall of Fame? And he's admitted it. Roger has never said, and they've never ever.
Roger's never admitted it.
Never admitted it. Okay, so what's right? I don't know. You can have your opinion of him. As to whether he used them or not. He said he didn't use them.
Dave, does he belong in there?
Yeah.
You'd put him in?
Yeah, he's one of the 5 best pitchers of all time.
Of all time,
How is he? I would put him in the Hall of Fame. We were watching 2 weeks ago. Chris Sale struck out 17 guys in 7 innings, and it was an incredible performance. And they started showing highlights. Roger did 20 twice. Twice. This guy was incredible, and he's now he comes back and helps with our alumni stuff, and he is the best person we have, one of the best people we have to work with our, the Jimmy Fund or whatever. He is a guy that you call and he's there. He absolutely deserves to be there. So does Barry Bonds. It's a museum.
Barry too.
Sure. Yeah.
You got a low threshold for this stuff.
I have a high threshold for the Hall of Fame. They're 2 of the 5 best players ever. It's
yeah. But there's a character clause in the Hall of Fame, right?
There is. Neither of them ever tested positive though.
For the clear or the what did Barry used to call it? The clear.
Clear. That's right. The clear, the cream. Yeah,
the cream of the clear. That was
exactly
that was
right.
it. Okay, Paul Beeston. 20 years ago, you were the president of Major League Baseball, and there was a lot of chat, a lot of speculation in the air that you would make a fine commissioner of Major League Baseball. And on one of your previous visits to this very studio, you and I talked about that. Shall we?
Shall we?
Sheldon, roll the clip, if you would, of Mr. Beeston many, many moons ago.
I don't think there's a chance that they want me, and I don't think that I'm the right guy for the job. I look at it from the point of view that I was born in Welland, grew up in Ontario, and when they find out that Welland's in Ontario and Ontario's in Canada, they probably don't want Paul Beeston anyway.
Okay, notwithstanding the fact that Welland is in Ontario and Ontario is in Canada. Actually, I'm not going to ask you. I'm going to ask Dave. Do you regret the fact your father never got to be commissioner?
No, I regret. I got the greatest life ever.
No, but I mean, would he have made a great commissioner?
He would have made an unbelievable commissioner, but he was in the job for 5, 6, 7 years, helping Commissioner Seelig, and had a huge impact on the game. So whether he was in the chair or not, I know that he had a massive impact on what baseball was doing in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Do you wish you had the chance to have that job?
No regrets whatsoever, Steve. I mean, I enjoyed my job. Like I like getting up in the morning. I like doing my work. I like, being in charge of what I was in charge of back then, which was all of New York. Bud was in Milwaukee.
Bud Selig.
Yeah, we worked very closely together. But I'm not the commissioner. I don't want to go in front of Congress. I don't want to, be that person that's out front all the time from what Bud had to do. From the decision point of view, it was fun, and I would love to have done it, but I had that opportunity. And, anyone that, could have a life like I had, particularly when I was in New York, because I loved it in New York, and I loved working in the commissioner's office. I liked being the president of Major League Baseball. Commissioner, and dealing with, at that time, 28 owners or 30 owners, that's not fun. I mean, you got to take that call every
Okay.
every time.
What?
So and so I was fortunate.
I got more tape on this because this is great. You and I.
You backed me into something.
Again, I mean, one of the reasons you probably didn't get to be commissioner is that you liked the players a bit too much, and you got along with everybody. You were able to get along with owners who really nobody should have been able to get along with, and we talked about that here. Okay, you ready for roll-in number 2, Sheldon? Let's go. You can tell me if this is true or not, but the story I heard when Pat Gillick decided to go to Baltimore and work for Peter Angelos, the guy who owns the team down there, the question he asked you was, is this guy nuts? Because I can't work for a guy who's nuts. I don't know what your answer was, but obviously he signed the deal down in Baltimore and he's there, and he has now found out firsthand that Peter Angelos is nuts. So does he have any...
I couldn't confirm that. I couldn't confirm any of that. Pat is a friend. You'd have to ask him. I'm not going to say what went on and what he feels right now. I do know that, he signed a contract. He's still there. He's gone out and he's improved the ball club. Excuse me.
But he is working for a guy who's nuts. You know that, right?
I get along very well with Peter.
Yeah, well, you get along with George Steinbrenner, and he's an ex-con for God's sake.
No. George is a good man.
Okay. All right. Do we want to reevaluate this 20 years later about whether or not Peter Angelos is nuts or whether George Steinbrenner is a good man?
Oh, well, no, I'm not going to reevaluate 20 years later and say anything different. I have good relationships with both of them. I mean, one of the keys to the job is making sure that, there's open communication. My relationship with George, and it was a love-hate relationship, and there were wars, but at the same point in time, there was respect. We lived in the same building in New York. I would see him there.
You and George Steinbrenner.
The same place, okay? So, I would see George on a regular basis, and I had a lot of time for George. Now, he was very difficult, but he was also very charming. I mean, there was an element to him and a side to him that was quite special. He brought, and a lot of people can say what they want. I mean, when the Yankees were good, and we came out of that strike in 1995, and we started playing. The Yankees started getting good, and we needed help. It was, we were fortunate having a good Yankee team. I mean, this was the Jeter, the Pettit, Paul O'Neill. I mean, they were all there at that point in time. And Posada, Bernie Williams, and they started winning World Series. And so they helped us get through it. But George was the show. George was the show. Peter, just loved the Orioles, and he's gone through a tough time right now. But fact of the matter is, I couldn't say anything negative about them. You talk about that, but like I loved, and I had lunch the other day with Don Fear, who is now hockey.
He's the representative of the players in hockey now.
I mean, he is doing, for the players, a tremendous job. And everybody's going to be happy with things. We're not talking about the Olympics. We can talk about everything we want. But the reality of the situation, Don is a terrific guy and doing a terrific job. You have to have that relationships.
Dave, do you think if your father had been Major League Baseball commissioner, admittedly a hypothetical question, we would not have had the work stoppages over the years that we did have?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I mostly because I wasn't close enough to it. In 1994, I was 15 years old, so I thought I knew what was going on, but I'm quite certain that I didn't. And so I don't know whether it was possible with where the players were and their beliefs, where the owners were and their beliefs, the Hawks, the Doves, whatever you want to call it. I don't know whether anybody could have ever broken that seal.
Right. The owners were Hawks back then, and he was a bit of a Dove, and that's what made me think that there would have been a compromise found if Paul Beeston were commissioner. But
very possible.
Yeah.
I want to know if either of you guys have rethought those turtlenecks, though.
Do you know what I always find funny? You wear the same glasses every time you come here.
There's no question.
For 25 years, you've been wearing the same glasses.
It's a new prescription, but it's the same color.
Okay. In 1994, Paul Beeston was on TVO, not because we were talking baseball, but because the players had gone on strike. There was no World Series that year, and here's what he said about all of that 25 years ago. Sheldon, please.
This is not doing anything for the game. And we've got to get a long-term deal, Steve. We've got to get a deal where we can grow the game together with the players, because we have effectively broken a trust with the fans. I mean, the people whose game this really is. I mean, it's not a platitude to say that. I mean, I really firmly believe it. And we have broken that trust, and somehow it's going to take us some time to build it back.
There are a lot of I play this clip because there are a lot of nervous Nellies around baseball right now. The basic agreement ends end of next year. And, you know, there's a lot of speculation that there's going to be another work stoppage. Dave, are you hearing that kind of talk in your front office with the Red Sox?
You know, Commissioner Manfred, Dan Halem, and the whole Major League Baseball front office, they do a great job communicating with ownership, also communicating with the players. And I know there's talk about it. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing, the players and the owners, which is to grow the game and, you know, continue to keep playing. And I don't think there will be a work stoppage, a strike, or a lockout at the end of it. But I'm not on the labor policy committee, and I know that Rob and Dan and everybody is doing their great job to try and get us moving forward.
What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there can be. I don't think anybody can afford it right now. I mean, there's too much competition. You start losing. We learned in 1994 when we had the work stoppage. I mean, canceling the World Series, what the effects were going to be, Steve. You know, they've got to come together. It's a matter of growing the pie. You know, Rusty Rose and George Bush used to have this pie theory. You know, you're better off having a small piece of a big pie as opposed to having a big piece of a small pie. Mm-hmm. And they got to do it in all sports. It's tough. I mean, you know, but I will go back to what I said before all the time. I always believe the players still they're the product. Okay, but you know they can't override the business part of it. You got to work together. And somehow I think because Rob came from labor. I mean, Rob Manfred, the commissioner at the present time, he came from labor. He knows the challenges, you know, and I don't think it's going to go down to the last minute. He and Dan are too smart, you know, to wait for this thing just to happen and be voiced and say, and that's what it is. So, you know, I'm not surprised if you're the players, maybe the players say, all I want to change is the term. You know, we're happy with all of the things, you know. There has to be some other changes. There's no question about that because over the years, things change. And we have some changes in the game. Length of the game is a problem, okay? You know, the attendance is a problem. There are problems, but they can be addressed. And, you know, it is cyclic. It goes up and down, but we'll address it. And I've got tremendous confidence in these guys getting the deal done and everybody being common sense. This is not like it was in the 80s, you know, when there was servitude for all practical purposes before the Messersmith case. You know, and then it came through, and it was
just explain. Andy Messersmith was
the free agent.
The free agent who Peter Seitz, the
exactly right
mediator,
You've
eventually.
got it right. You've got it right on. But before all of that, there was this. You know, you were under our control. You're under our control until we say you're not under our control. Over the next 20 years, you know, we got ourselves into a system. We've got some bad systems out there, or some bad elements to the contract right now, but nothing that can't be fixed.
It reminds me of a line by Bill Veeck, that great old owner, who said, when billionaires and millionaires fight, I'm on the side of the millionaires. Everybody's making money, but, okay, let's do one last thing here. You know, 22 years ago in 1997, you were here for an episode of the show we used to do called Studio 2, and you and I made a bet at the end of the show. And honor compels me to play the tape of that bet that you and I made. As much as this is going to embarrass me, I'm going to play this anyway.
Let's hear it.
Sheldon, let's go.
And we always do a bet. Now, I wouldn't ask you to bet against the American League, but who's going to be in the World Series this year for the National League?
Let's go with Florida, and let's beat them.
Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
We'll come back next year, see who's right. $5, right?
You got it.
Tomorrow at 8, everybody. So long.
Okay, that was in 1997. You remember who won the National League pennant and the World Series in 1997?
Know it well.
Florida Marlins.
Devo was center fielder. They played Cleveland.
You took Florida. I took Atlanta.
I saw it.
I owe you some money.
What I think we bet was 1,000.
We bet no, we did not. We bet $5, and I just happen to have $5. Now, would you accept it 22 years later?
No. You. I want you to have that, but it's very thoughtful.
I feel obliged to give you a Wilfrid Laurier to pay off my debts.
I will take that right now, but it will be going to charity.
As they say, A Lannister always pays his debts. That's a Game of Thrones reference, which you probably didn't get, but Dave probably did.
I was watching the basketball game.
Very good. Gents, should we do one more bet, the three of us here, before we leave? Okay. Who's going to win a World Series first? The Boston Red Sox or the Toronto Blue Jays?
Well, you know what I'm going to say. I am going to say the Blue Jays.
Maybe father and son should make this bet.
I'm going to say the Blue Jays.
You think the Blue Jays are going to win a World Series before the Red Sox do?
It's tough. It's tough to win the World Series. It's tough to repeat. We've seen that in a lot of leagues.
That is true.
So we've got
no
this year.
repeat champion in 20 years.
We've got a chance to get going. So I'm going to say with the farm system that we have at the present time and the players coming up here, I'm going with the Blue Jays.
Dave?
I got to go with the Red Sox.
There's a shock.
Yeah.
And Steve?
Well, I would say the Red Sox have a much better chance of winning the World Series before the Blue Jays do. I don't think that's going out on too much of a limb.
No,
Even with the lousy start the Sox had this year. I still think they got a great shot at it this year.
We're getting it back together.
They are. Gentlemen, this was a great deal of fun. I thank you so much for coming into our studio tonight. That's Paul Beeston and Dave Beeston. Between the two of them, 4 World Series rings probably makes them the most successful father-son combination off the field in Major League history. Guys, thanks so much.
Thanks very much, Steve. Enjoyed it.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.